fellow bookworms, to Tibra's Den. My name is Whitney, and we just finished reading Anna's story by Jenna Bush, who is Jenna Bush Hager now. But really excited to talk about this one. Was a very good book and definitely one to talk about. So anyway, before we get into this, just want to remind everybody that we do our series reads every Saturday. Currently, we are working on the Dresden File series. We are on the second book, Full Moon. There's about a week and a half or so left of that book, and then we are going to jump into the third book. It's never too late to participate, so hopefully you will do so. There's links down in the description where you can pick up the first two books if you want to join us. And we also do our book of the month discussions every Monday, so hopefully you're participating in that as well. We're currently reading V.C. Andrews' My Sweet Audrina, and then I did introduce the next book of the month last week, so hopefully you saw that video. And then as far as our weekly reads goes, we are going to be starting Ain't No Mountain by Eel Foster today. So hopefully you already have a copy. If not, there's links below where you can pick them up. All the links are down below. And hoping you'll participate in this one. And then on Monday, I did announce the next weekly read, so that way you have time to get a copy if you would like to. If you want to know, the synopsis and what the book is about, go check out Monday's video. But we are going to be reading Secrets of the Lost Summer by Carla Neggers. I looked up how to pronounce it and I still have problems, but Carla Neggers is the author of this book, and I know it's autumn now and I'm so ready to get into some spooky stories, which I have all lined out for the month of October, but I really just wanted one last little piece of summer, and so that's why we are reading this one, but really excited to read that as well. Let's go ahead and talk about Anna's story. So Anna's story is our first nonfiction read. It was published back in 2007. And it basically follows Anna, who is a young girl from, I want to say, it's South America somewhere. I can't remember the exact country, but she's in South America, and she is born with HIV. She gets it from her mom, who got it because she was abused. So it just follows Anna along, and it starts off really rough. It starts off with Anna talking about her first memory, her first and only memory of her mom, is of her mom being upset because she just had a baby and the baby ended up passing away at 2 months old. And so that's her very, very first memory, and then her mom ends up passing shortly thereafter. And so she has to go live with her grandma along with her younger sister, who's about 2 years younger, and their papa works in the city and then comes and visits them. But basically their papa also gets sick and ends up passing as well, and he contracted HIV and AIDS from his wife before she knew that she had it and everything like that. So really, really heartbreaking. And then it just kind of goes through Anna's life up to the point where she is about 17 and she has her own young daughter now. And so she's, a young mom living with HIV. And it's really, really heartbreaking because there was so much shame around having HIV for her. Her grandma, told her she better not tell anybody ever. You can't tell anybody. And so she felt like she had to keep it a secret, and she felt a lot of shame around it. And one part of the book that really moved me was when they had some educators come into the school and the other students are kind of making fun and making jokes. And then there was another girl who was super skinny, and they were like, "You have AIDS," and bullying her and telling her she had AIDS. And all the while Anna's sitting there with this secret, and it just further instilled into her, I can't tell anybody. They will shun me like that if I told anybody. And she gets abused by her grandma. Her grandma's boyfriend, assaults her and her little sister. And so she ends up going to live with their aunt. Her and her little sister do. And her aunt ends up abusing Anna as well. So a lot of abuse, a lot of shame, throughout her lifetime. And by the end of the book, she's starting to really accept, having HIV and kind of really finding her footing. And it does kind of end on a positive note. Obviously, it's not the end of Anna's story, and I was actually looking up to see if there was any updates. I know she kept it, kind of generic for privacy reasons, and I think she changed names and such. Um, so for privacy reasons, so obviously the only person who's going to be able to have an update is Jenna if she was still in contact with Anna. And I looked and I could find no information. The only information I could find was from back in 2007 when this book was originally published. So I don't know, if Anna's still living. I know her daughter did test negative for HIV. There was like 3 different tests at different ages that she had to undergo, and 2 of them are included in the book. And then there was like a little, I think I found it online when I was searching if there was an update. And it said, and this was back, like I said, in 2007, but it said that she had taken her for her final appointment with her daughter, and her daughter did test negative on that final appointment. So, but yeah, just a really moving story, and I think it's a really good one to talk about, especially living, in the U.S. and being a little bit better off. I mean, I've had my fair share of roughness, in my childhood and such, but overall, we were pretty okay. We definitely lived in poverty at times, but we were definitely safe and everything like that. But just, I think we don't always realize the prevalence of it still today, even with all the advancements that have been made. I think back in 2007, she put that there was, I'll look it up here so I don't misquote, but I think it was 2.3 million, I want to say, children living with AIDS back in 2007. And let's see here. Try to find it. I should have probably had this marked up. Yeah. 2.3 million children living with HIV and AIDS worldwide. And when I was researching, trying to find out if there was any update on Anna and seeing, what the statistics are now, it's now 2.78 million. So it's still even rising, even with the advancements and the education. And it is, it, like it says, it doesn't matter, class, race, social status or economic status or anything like that. Like, AIDS can affect anybody. HIV and AIDS can affect anybody. It's obviously more prevalent, in poorer areas, because obviously abuse is generally more prevalent in those areas as well, and drugs and things like that. So, but yeah, it's really, like I said, a moving book, and I think it's really inspirational too, because we all kind of have hardships sometimes that we have to overcome. And I think Anna's attitude, especially by the end of the book, is a really positive one. And I'm going to read my favorite line here in a moment, but actually let me just go ahead and do it now. So this is in chapter 68, or 66 rather, sorry, I'm jumping ahead instead of back. It's in chapter 66 on page 156, and it says, no, or, well, I'll read 2 lines. It says, no, she didn't really fear death, but she respected death. She had accepted that death was waiting for her, but she had no intention of giving in. She planned to fight it, and the best way she could do that was to live. She was beginning to understand, though, that she needed to live responsibly. And so, though it's actually just a whole paragraph that I just read, but it's basically, that yes, she has to accept this. Like, she cannot change this. She cannot change her situation. So she's accepted it, but she's also not just going to let it take her either. She's going to fight, and she's going to fight to live, and live her best life that she can. And, and that's kind of talking about, she's trying to learn how to take care of her body. She's learning more about HIV and AIDS, and how, nutrition and health and everything all kind of go together, to live a long life. So, That was my favorite line, and I really think like it's a positive because we can't always change our situations, and so sometimes we have to find a way to live with those situations for sure. But yeah, really enjoyed it. It is aimed for teenagers. There's a lot of resources in the back for teenagers. There's even discussion questions in the back, which I think is great. I think it's a good one, if you do have a teen and maybe they're wanting to learn more about HIV and AIDS. I think it's a good one for them to maybe read with some friends or something like that, and then they can use the discussion questions at the back of the book. Or if you're an older adult and you want to bring more awareness, it's definitely something you could read with others and use the discussion questions at the back of the book as well. I will say that it has a lot of like resources, online resources and such. I'm not sure how many of those are still relevant. I tried to go to harperteen.com because I saw it linked and it was like find out more about Anna at harperteen.com, and so I tried to go there and that website is no longer there. And so I'm sure some of the other online resources are probably outdated as well, but I still think it's a good start, and it kind of gives you an idea of what to search for. If you do want, to find some resources online for more information or ways you can help and things like that. So, like I said, really well written. It's not overly in depth. Like I said, I know she was trying to protect some privacies and such, and it's also aimed for teenagers, so it's a little bit more simple to read, but it definitely draws you in and you definitely, get pulled in and feel the emotions with Anna as well. So I think it was well written, and I do think it's definitely worth the read, but worth it not just on your own, but to discuss with others. So I'm going to go ahead and leave this here. I really, really hope you will pick this up and read it with others, share it with others. But I'm going to leave you here. Don't forget, we are reading Ain't No Mountain by Sharon Eel Foster, and you can find my thoughts on this next Wednesday. Happy reading, everyone. Bye.